What up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Look, going to the grocery store right now in California is a little bit sketchy. HelloFresh is here to help you. You get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip those trips to the grocery store. Make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. You see, HelloFresh cuts stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. They offer over 20 recipes each week with a range of flavors, cuisines, and ingredients so you'll never get bored. And you cut down on grocery bills and food waste. They deliver pre-portioned ingredients so you're not overbuying, which is a burden on your wallet and the planet. I just started with HelloFresh, and so I haven't actually tasted the food yet, but I ordered, and I'm kind of excited actually, because this week they're going to send me bulgogi lime pork tenderloin, chicken sausage rigatoni, and firecracker meatballs. I'm not sure what makes them firecracker, but I am excited. Now, because my problem is this, I like going to the grocery store and buying food every day. I like fresh, right? I don't like doing the once a week thing. But now, during these unprecedented times, that's what you're supposed to be doing, going once a week, buying for the whole week. Whenever I do that, I end up with a bunch of wasted food because I change my mind or something goes bad or, any number of reasons. But with HelloFresh, they pre-portion it, so I use what is sent and I don't have any waste. It is going to be excellent, and next week I hope to tell you how it all tastes. For now, go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire10 and use code SmokingTire10 for 10 free meals, including free shipping. That's right, 10 free meals with free shipping if you go to HelloFresh.com/SmokingTire10 and use code SmokingTire10. All right? All right. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. We are also brought to you by Policy Genius. It's a new year. Let's start it off right. Start it off right by saving some cash, right? Maybe reshop your home and auto insurance rates with Policy Genius. You could save up to $1,055 per year with help from their licensed experts. Look, wife and I just bought a new house. I have been paying a certain amount of home insurance at my old place for a while now. I'm trying to reshop with Policy Genius right now. Save me some money. Maybe put it into landscaping. Maybe get myself a new big green egg. Maybe just save it. I don't know. But here's what you do to do the same. You go over to PolicyGenius.com. You answer a few quick questions about yourself and your property. Policy Genius then just does the rest. They compare rates from 30 top insurers to find you the lowest quotes. Then their experts look into all the ways they can maximize your saving, including bundling home and auto, etc., etc. If Policy Genius finds a better rate than what you're currently paying, they get you switched for free, handle the headaches and the costs. That's why they've got a 5-star rating across over 1,600 reviews on Trustpilot and Google. If you own a home, make 2021 the year you save $1,000 simply by reshopping your home and auto insurance on one website, PolicyGenius.com. Get started right now, because when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. We're also brought to you by Lemonade Health, and not lemonade like the beverage, lemonade like AID. Brought to you by Lemonade Health, right? You want to keep your health checked up and good, but in these unprecedented times, especially in these unprecedented times, you definitely want to stay as healthy as possible. I work out, I take my vitamins, I try to eat right, but it's important to keep up with your doctor. Maybe you don't have a doctor, though. Maybe you don't want to go into a medical clinic right now. That's totally understandable. Lemonade Health is a virtual medical office. They provide you affordable health care without the need for insurance, and over the internet, they can treat anything from ED to anxiety, depression, insomnia, hair loss, high blood pressure, and more. For instance, I have high blood pressure, right? And believe it or not, my physician retired. He retired. I don't have a physician anymore in the middle of a pandemic. What am I going to do? Just randomly start shopping physicians right now? No, I'm not. But I need a refill on my high blood pressure medication, which I've been taking for many, many years. If I go to Lemonade Health, I can handle that without having to visit an office. It's a routine task, pretty easy, doesn't need any advanced level in-person care, and Lemonade Health can handle that. And they can handle it for you too. They are providing Smoking Tire listeners with 50% off your first order of any ED medication. Getting started is easy. Visit lemonadehealth.com. That's spelled lemon, A-I-D, lemonadehealth.com/tire. Fill out the online questionnaire, and their medical team will review and get you that medication fast. Delivery is fast, free, and comes in discreet packaging. lemonadehealth.com/tire for 50% off your first order of ED medicine. And while you're over there, get yourself checked out for everything else, too. Because it's a pandemic, and we're in unprecedented times. And if you can't handle the unprecedented times, you know who's there for you? Tradecraft Farms, folks, the official ganja provider of the Smoking Tire podcast. I smoke weed. I smoke really, really good weed. And that helps keep me stay sane and not hating the entire world. Tradecraft Farms grows the finest ganja in Southern California. It is legal if you're in California. They sell it in other dispensaries. They sell it in retail locations. But what I'd really like you to do is follow their pretty little Instagram, Tradecraft Farms on Instagram, because basically that's the metric how they know that supporting the Smoking Tire is good. So if you guys want to see pretty pictures of the best ganja in Southern California, the kind of stuff that we are blazing on the daily, Tradecraft Farms on Instagram, go check them out.
Oh, right. On this show, it's Zach and I doing a little Q&A. Actually, a lot of Q&A. This show goes pretty long, and we go really all over the place. When we let you guys suggest Q&A, we talk about cars, we talk about watches. I think there's 15 minutes on sailing somewhere in there. It's a good show. It's a fun show. We cover a lot of ground, and Zach and I are solo in the studio doing Q&A on this episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast. A study was published a couple of years ago that people who are wristwatch wearers and enthusiasts are more considerate than people who are not in general.
100% true. I didn't have a watch for a long time. And JF, when I started working for him, he was like, you should get a watch. You'll be more punctual on production. And it was totally right, because it's easier to look at your wrist than to take your phone out of your pocket. And yeah, true.
I think the sample size in the study was relatively small. I think it was about 120 people, maybe. Not tens of thousands of people.
No, but it was true for me.
Nevertheless, it does reinforce my belief that what I do makes me better than others.
Everybody's belief. That's true.
Everybody's belief of that.
We were going to be on time, but everything updated over the holidays, like every device in here. So we sat down. I was like, oh shit,
bro. We were like 4 minutes late on a Saturday, on a day that we chose to work on. Like, I was already at my first job, and I called you the Saturday after Christmas, and I said, hey, do you want to come over so I can do my second job also? And you were like, yes, actually. And I was like, that's weird. But okay.
Yeah,
here we
fun.
are. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. Zach and I and our ladies, as Jews, we ate Asian takeout. We tried to eat Chinese food is what New York Jews do. There's a lot more Chinese options serving on Christmas in New York than there are in Venice.
Yeah, there's way more Thai food here.
Yeah, we went with the Thai.
Which is good.
The Thai is good. The Thai is LA's Chinese food, pretty much.
I gotta say, once I started eating Thai food, I kind of gave up on Chinese. I was like, this is what I wish Chinese was most of the time.
Because it's a little like fresher and more like natural and not as like greasy and fried.
Yeah.
But there's some, like they're a little fatty. Like there's
true.
Chinese, like artisan Chinese. Probably what they eat in fucking China and not what they eat in Chinatown.
I've heard that,
in New York City, that like it's coming back.
And
it's
I've
coming
heard
in. It's
the
coming
West
in.
Coast Chinese food is like more watered down than the East Coast even. So we have the most mundane.
That's interesting.
Of the Chinese food options.
I mean, Americanized Chinese food. You saw Searching for General Tao before, right? The documentary?
No.
It's a documentary called Searching for General Tao. It's pretty low budget. It starts about seeking the origins of General Tao's chicken. It's a worthy pursuit, if you ask me. But the only really super interesting tidbit in the whole film is that when Chinese people came to both Ellis Island and to the West Coast immigration centers, wherever the fuck they were, I'm ashamed to not know, but wherever they were, the Chinese immigration authority, it's in the early 1900s, encouraged them not to cluster and make a homogenous community of Chinese people, but to go out to America and be the only Chinese family in some little fucking town in some Midwestern state or whatever, and make Chinese food and bring Chinese food to America.
Whoa.
And so that's how you end up with this one Chinese restaurant that's been there for 50 years in every single town in America. It was a policy.
It's probably the most accessible ethnic food across the entire country.
For certainly a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of, like you said, you go to any
Mexican
town.
maybe more, but...
No, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
Mexican might be more.
It's a race.
Well, it's an ethnic food.
No, I know. Oh, sorry. I meant it's a competition. No, it's a competition.
Yeah, I misunderstood that word a little bit.
Amazing faux pas. A terrible choice of words.
Hi, everybody, again. I hope you all had a good Christmas. I don't have a lot to bring to the table right now, so I want to hear from you.
Yeah. Get
in the super chat and let's see what the fuck is up. I will just start with, there's already some. Good. Okay. We can start with the BMW M2
Absolutely.
CS. Well, let me start by plugging. Can you go to roadandtrack.com?
Yes.
Zach, and I'll plug. I wrote some words about the Porsches I drove, the 5 Porsches in one day. And if you didn't want to watch 5 videos, I understand. It seems like a lot of content. We put out 7 videos in 7 days leading up to Christmas. So we worked a lot. And so I wrote some words. It's isn't it right on top? Oh, it was the top story yesterday. Has it been bumped off the front page?
There's a lot up here.
Really? It got bumped off the front page already? Boo. Travis,
the internet needs a new cycle.
Top right.
Yeah, the internet needs new stuff every day.
I mean, it was only from 2 days ago.
Oh, dude, 2 days in internet time? Are you crazy?
Over a Friday and a Christmas and a Saturday?
You made 3 videos in 2 days. You're arguing with yourself.
Good point. Anyway, go read it if you want to read some words. I think that piece came out very well. The M2 CS is really, really good. This is the thing about the M2 CS. Really good. They make you pay for it, though. They take out weight. They replace things with carbon, transmission tunnel, hood, roof, mirrors. There's a spoiler. There's a splitter. There's that's all the carbon. There's really lightweight wheels. There's optional ceramic brakes, which my test car had. There's adaptive suspension, and there's a full M3 motor. It's fucking 445 horsepower. So it's 180 pounds lighter than the regular than the M2 competition.
How much?
180 pounds lighter.
That's pretty significant.
It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's been Lamborghinis in the past are 40 pounds different. You're calm down. 102 is a lot.
Well, there was one, I forget which. There was I want to say it was a McLaren, but it might not have been a McLaren. I mean, the M3 lightweight from 95 was not that much.
It was not that much.
Yeah. Porsche RS America, also very, very not that lightweight. But 180 pounds is pretty good. Mm-hmm. And it's fucking lively, but the big deal is the adaptive suspension with the comfort mode. That makes it a lot less bouncy, which is good.
Is it a mag ride system? Do you know?
It's not mag ride, but it is fully adaptive.
Okay.
So just having the comfort setting makes it a lot more compliant and usable.
Did you drive? You driven a comp, right? M2 comp.
Yeah, I didn't like the comp that much.
Yeah, it's pretty stiff.
I thought it was really stiff, and consequently, it was really stiff on the road, and then on the track, that stiffness turned into a lot of hoppiness, wheel hoppiness, and it didn't really rotate the way I wanted it to. I didn't really like the comp that much. I liked the first M2, the regular one.
Yeah.
I didn't like the comp that much, and now I like this one the most. But the one like you're showing on the screen right now, the blue with the gold, the ceramic brakes, and the one I had was DCT, which points against because you can get it in manual, and that's probably amazing.
But it's a good DCT.
Great DCT.
Yeah, it's good
no
DCT.
complaints about the DCT itself,
Yeah.
other than its pure existence. No, no, it's fine. It's really, because it's a DCT, Hannah could drive it. You know, it's $90,000 though.
Yeah.
Fucking expensive. 90 is like, you're really getting up there at that point. Now here's the thing: you probably don't want the ceramics because they are like Porsche 2009 levels of squeak. They squeal like crazy. Like if you wash a car, right? I've had it for a week, and I've made the poor guys. I've made them wash it twice in a week, and I almost never wash press cars ever. Like, and I made not because I cared about how clean the car was, but because with like. It rained yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago it rained.
Misted rain.
Whatever it was, it rained. After that rain, the wheels got wet, and the brakes, they didn't squeak for like maybe 45 minutes. And then they went back to, and I was like, oh, you fucking...
It's so weird that it rained and they didn't squeak, because sometimes high-performance pads squeak after they get wet.
Sometimes
like
these squeak when they get dusty, which in Southern California is always.
Yeah.
So it's that was really annoying, and you paid for the privilege. Now it's unfortunate because they work pretty good. You know, like
They should.
If you go watch the video, I would determine that was mobbing, and they were just fine.
Yeah.
Just about right for that vehicle. But God, the squeal, that might be a deal breaker. Unless you really, for some reason, absolutely had to have that stopping power.
Can
or
you
had to
get
be
it
every
with
option.
steel instead?
Yeah.
Oh.
The
well,
carbons are an option.
I mean,
But it's like if you're going to go, for the fucking all the way, right, with the CS and all that, it's the only one. This is the only M2 that these brakes have ever been available on.
if you're going to do that with the resale in mind, but if you want it as just a car that you love, then why not get all the good parts plus the good brakes? Because we know, we've talked to so many people that say steel brakes are fine.
I know.
You get you don't need carbon, and they just cost more money. All it is when you're going to sell, even Spike has said this, like when you're going to flip the car later, you need that thing on the description.
Yeah.
But
I'm going through this with our designers at our new place. There are certain things that they are determining that we need to have for resale. I don't give a fuck.
that's
I'm
a weird plan.
I'm tall, and I like to cook. I want a 40-inch, 39 or 40-inch countertop.
Yeah.
And they're all like, no, the standard's 36. And I go, yes, I've heard that the standard is 36. We are going to have a 40-inch countertop because my back hurts if I cook at a 36-inch countertop. And they're, but the resale, and also, you know that you have to have bathtubs in your house, even if you have no kids and don't take baths, because the next person is probably going to have a kid, and they might have to bathe the kid.
I guess that kind of makes sense. You have one, keep it in the garage. Right?
I should. Yeah, like the hot tub doesn't count.
Dude, but if you got one of those huge super tubs, well, you're going to have a hot tub. So then you don't need like the
I'm not a
therapeutic thing.
huge super tub. A super tub? What, like Shaq?
I don't know. Not shack size. However, your 40-inch
That would be
countertop would be
G.
helpful because the Clippers live nearby. So
I
if you sell
know.
the house, you go down there.
That's a good point. I could direct market across the
Yeah.
street from WCCS.
You think
Tall
any of the
People House.
players are like, is this counter 36 inches? It's not. Never mind.
Do you think if like Brad Williams was building the house of his dreams, someone would be like, Brad, you need a 36-inch countertop for the resale.
Yeah.
You would go, and go fuck yourself.
Right, yeah. And you're fired.
Yeah. You know, same thing here. If you're doing it, set it.
That's what I'm saying. So you can get the M2 with the brakes you like.
So you get them with the brakes you
Get
like.
them with the brakes you like. Because
Yeah.
it seems like a sick
fuck the
car.
resale.
And it's got a good M. And that's a lot of power for that car. That's amazing.
It's a lot of power for that car. You know what it
didn't
makes
need
it?
more.
Real fucking fast.
It looks real fast.
It goes. It is a very, very fast car.
the comp was fast. This is...
Yeah. And it does the holy shit, I didn't know I was going that fast. It does that pretty well, but it also has feel to it. It's not like, you know, like that M440 thing I had, the beaver tooth one. We haven't put the video up of that one yet. It's coming up in January. I figured the comp would do better and fucking make money December, but the 440 is also like, you know, 0 to 60 in the threes. a quarter mile in the 12s, but it doesn't feel like anything.
What does the power band in the M2 this
Flat.
one feel like?
Flat.
So same
if
as
you're
other M cars.
anywhere between 3 and 7,500, it makes exactly the same amount of power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually fine. You would think that it's not fine like that, but every one I've driven that was tuned, and I'm talking about M4s now. Every M4 I've ever driven that was tuned was worse. Every single one.
I won't argue against that because I've driven these too, and when they're modded, like people put too much power and it's like real peaky. But I think there's this middle ground where like
the Dynan M2 was pretty good.
Yeah,
in that regard.
I want a little progression in the power band because even a big block something, you feel more power coming on as you accelerate. But like the M4s for a while. When we first drove like the M4 or the M3, it was just like all the power in this shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just weird to manage.
And then when people would tune them, then that blast would be even harder.
True. Yeah.
And so actually the best modified M4 had bigger turbos because it actually made it by intentionally adding turbo lag, it actually made it more fun. You know what I mean? Because of the lower power band, you didn't have to be so afraid of that right now throttle, and it would come on a little more turbo. I forgot whose car I was that I drove where it had upgraded turbos, but that was actually better. All the stock turbo cars with tunes were horrible. But if you upgraded the turbos and actually added turbo lag, it got better.
You know what it is? Like hypercars, supercars, you've driven a bunch of the McLarens. A lot of them have progressive boost, right? Because they can't give you 720 horsepower in first gear, second gear, because you'll blow the tires off. But when people modify their turbo cars, they basically give themselves all the power at that RPM. And even Ferrari and McLaren are going, no, that's too much, too early. What are you doing?
Exactly.
You should use that same practice.
Exactly. But CS is that's a nice car. I mean, it's fucking expensive, but it's got a lot of low volume parts in it. That carbon hood and that carbon trans tunnel, like those are low volume parts. They probably have to be handmade by some little, other supplier somewhere. And it is the best looking, best driving car that BMW makes right now at any price. You cannot spend more and you cannot spend less money on a BMW right now to get a better car than that. It's the best car you can buy that they make, period. So if you're really into BMWs, that's your option right now. If what you want is the BMW that you think you want, you know what I mean? Like not like a 600 horsepower crossover. You know what I mean?
It's unfortunate you have to spend that much money to get the BMW that we all like. But
yeah, but it's true. It is. So it's really nice. I fucking dig it a lot. But at that price, you're really, here's when that price becomes worthwhile. Because it's limited production, like the 1M, right? So if you get one in manual, get it in the hot color, the blue with the gold.
Yeah, it looks good.
You know what I mean? You get it with the right options, resale oriented, and you pay more now, but I bet it holds. You know what I mean? Like a Z51 Vet, 3LT, all the goodies is still probably $5,000 or $6,000 less than this, and will go faster and rides better. You know what I mean? And it is arguably because it's mid-engine, better, right? You're also into Cayman Cayman S, maybe even Cayman GTS levels at that. But GTSs are more expensive than you think. They're up in the 90s. You're getting into some real performance cars.
Yeah.
But those Vet depreciates like any other car. You know what I mean? A Cayman depreciates like any other car. And any Porsche that's not a GT will depreciates. This BMW might not.
Well, it's also, I think, because it's kind of special in their lineup. It's like because they don't have a lot of stuff that's really good and kind of connects to the driver, this will stand out more. Whereas the Porsches or the Vets, the vets, there's going to be so many of them. It's a first-year car. Like, yeah, they're just going to keep cranking those out. There's a lot of offerings from that.
Yeah, they will sell as many vets as they can sell, and then what they can't sell to you, they'll sell to fucking Enterprise. You know what I mean?
And how many M2s are they making? The
2,200 globally.
Jeez.
It's not a lot.
It's very small.
It's more than 1Ms. I think there was 1,500 1Ms, but it's not a lot more.
No. It's a small number for
still
sure.
a small number by BMW standards.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a bitchin' car.
Yeah. That's rad. It looks like a graduate for a Subaru lover. You're like, you like World Rally Blue and Gold, but you have a little more money? Here you go.
Those wheels are fucking dope.
Yeah. Really, I like gold wheels.
The color combo's great. The only things about it that I'm not into are it has keyless start but not keyless entry. And someone DM'd me because I bitched about not having keyless entry in the video. And they said that keyless entry is an option and it weighs like 40 pounds.
Oh.
So, all right.
Okay.
If I was BMW, I'd commit even further and make it a fucking key. Like the E46 key. Like you want to, it's got a clicker to open, but it's a key.
Well, now I wonder if that tumbler, if the key tumbler in the steering column weighs more than just the button in that system. So maybe it is actually lighter to go with the button.
Oh, damn it. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's a good question. All right. Well, anyway, I found it 40 pounds or no 40 pounds. I found it annoying to not have keyless entry, but to have keyless start. And not because I'm fucking snobby, but because my brain would get confused. Like for the whole week.
Yeah.
I was, I'm used to just.
I can understand that.
Because in my garage, it's not locked. I get in and I start, you know what I mean? But then I walk away and I hit the thing, it doesn't lock. And you know what I mean? I walk up to the trunk and grab the trunk and I've got groceries. It doesn't open. I'm like, this is halfway to keyless start. Right. It was fucking annoying, honestly.
That would twist your brain a little bit.
It just, you can't develop a consistent habit. That's what's difficult about it.
Not
even a key that you have to put in unlock, like, you plan how you hold your groceries for that.
Well, you just hit the button.
Yeah. You hit a button. It's not It's not the end of the world, but it's inconsistent behavior, and that was weird. And also, they delete the armrest. And to some people that's not a big deal. To me, it made it substantially more annoying to drive as a regular car, to not have the armrest.
I love my armrest in my M3. I love it. And my buddy Armin has a Laguna Seca Blue E46.
No armrest?
No armrest. And he looked at mine and he kind of made fun. He's like, oh, you got to lose that weight. And then he kind of sat and he's like, I wish I had. Because when you sit, they place the armrest, it's the same height as the armrest on the left. Like, good job, because some cars don't have that.
Yeah.
So when you sit, you can put your elbows there when you're doing long distance.
Porsche does the best job
drive
of it.
with
The
your
armrests
fingers.
are at the exact same height.
Which is how every car should be.
It's the best.
And if you're driving for 8 hours or 6 hours, like, you need that, or your shoulders get tight and gets all
Dude,
crampy.
I did a lot of miles on test day in the M2. I did a bunch of miles, like almost 200, like on that day, and my hands, from just them hanging on the wheel, because the wheel's kind of high, and it's also really like thick and
really
girthy.
Thick.
So my hands at the end of it, I couldn't find like a way to rest them appropriately. So I hope maybe that's an option you can put back in or something. But like to not have it was sort of like, oh, this is not. At a certain point, lightweighting gets annoying.
Yeah, the armrest does not weigh 40 pounds.
Yeah, but in every other way, that's about the best BMW that you can buy right now. That coffee gave me like
Cotton
just a real cotton mouthy situation going on. Also, Tradecraft Farms. Shout out to you guys. I hope you all have been shopping for Tradecraft Farms this holiday season. The official ganja of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Get with it. Get with it. Live, folks. I'm going to be on with Maddie Rock later tonight talking about bourbon and cigars. I'm not that into cigars.
I was going to say.
But I like bourbon. But cigars, because the problem with cigars, as an ex-cigarette smoker, it's very hard to get into cigars.
Why? Because you are like,
because you don't inhale them.
No, you don't.
And like people like they sit on that cigar for like 45 minutes. And so to just like be puffing on the same, it's a different mentality, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I'm not inhaling this. I'm not getting high. I'm just sitting here just like, I really like being around other people smoking cigars, like the aura of it. But I don't know. I might just roll up a fucking cone. Let's do that.
Roll it tight enough where it burns at the same rate.
Well, I've got this floral cone still. This has like a pretty decent shelf life, they tell me.
The thing's amazing looking. I don't even smoke weed really, but that looks just
pretty.
like, it looks really cool.
Yeah. It's the kind of thing you want to give to your girl.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. It is.
They should sell those on Valentine's Day.
They should, like a bouquet of these.
There's a certain market that will absolutely buy a lot of that on Valentine's Day.
Yep. Should we go to the people?
Yeah, we got lots of questions.
All right, cool. Because I don't really have anything else to say. I got nothing because it hasn't been that long since we were last recorded. I haven't done much. I fucking played tennis and went on walks. It's really all I've done.
We have a lot of questions about tennis and walks.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
Tons of them.
I've had whatever we were talking about recently about cats. I've had so many people come up to me and be like, "How do you know so much about cats?"
You've owned
I have a cumulative like fucking 80 years of cat experience.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, Daniel says, I'm 18 years old and I just bought an E30 as a first car. I don't have the money for racing school. What can I do to improve my skills as a fast-ish driver? Well, if you live somewhere where it snows, you can find snowy parking lots.
Absolutely.
And do drifts and figure eights and practice car control that way.
Or if it rains, find a parking lot, not a road, or you'll crash. Yeah, for real. I would say autocross. Like
autocross is
good. If you're 18 and this is your first car, like you don't know very much, and I mean that like I'm not trying to be dismissive. Autocross, sometimes I feel like autocross is sometimes boring, but I recognize it as an educational tool, and that'll teach you a lot about just like braking and car rotation. You'll spin out and you'll wonder why, and you'll figure out why, and it's safe, and it's like $40 to go usually. Yeah,
I also would say work on your footwork. Assuming the C30 is a manual, it's a great car to learn heel-toe skills. And that is a skill that will take you for the rest of your life. And you can do it everywhere all the time. You don't have to be in a performance situation. You could do it on the way to work or school or whatever, and just around. To me, when I drive a car, heel-toe driving is just driving. And if you watch my How to Drive a Manual Transmission video, I teach that. And there's people who will argue with that methodology, but that's what I teach. So,
totally.
So I would say watch my video on heel towing, or fucking watch Senna, in a Acura NSX around Suzuka or whatever, or like best footwork videos, and practice those techniques with your feet, because an E30 is a great way to do it. MDK Kaiser says, what is the story behind the metal bracelet? This one. This metal bracelet is from Tiffany, and it was given to me on my bar mitzvah, and it has my bar mitzvah date on the back of it, November 12th, 1994. And I've worn it every day since then, except in senior year of high school. I gave it to my girlfriend, and when we broke up, I didn't get it back. And then like 4 years later, it wasn't a good breakup. We didn't talk a lot. And like 4 years later, she was like, I'm moving out of my parents' house, and I found this and thought you'd want it, and sent it back to me. And that was very nice of her, actually. That was pretty much almost the last time I spoke with her, and she sent it back to me, and I've worn it every day since. So yeah, I just had to have the clasp replaced, which after 30 years, Tiffany charged me $62 for. And I dropped off the bracelet for repair the fucking day before the lockdown. and it sat at Tiffany for like 3 months before I could get it back. But they only charged me $65 after 30 years to fix that. So shout out to Tiffany. Jasper Mandeville says, have I ever driven the $1 Million Highway in Colorado, 25 miles from the RRL Ranch? It's awesome. It's outside Telluride, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a sign there that says $1 Million Highway. Does it have another road?
The US 550.
I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing I would have driven on something.
It's
I've driven by the RRL, like when we did the E30 thing, the Bentayga and the E30 and the thing for Drive. That sounds like a road we would have driven for that.
We were near it. I don't think we were on it, and it has a. Let's see. Let me find a better photo.
I'm not sure. I don't recall specifically. I certainly hope this picture that Zach has brought up isn't. US 550 is what it's called? It doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell. Looks like it goes north-south from the...
Silverton to Ouray.
Silverton to Ouray.
Yeah, US 550.
No, I don't know. I haven't. Sure. Okay. Sorry. Oh, there's some good sections, though. Go back. Look at that. If you Google image $1 Million Highway, oh, wow, there's definitely, that looks lovely.
There's a lot of this stuff like where they clearly blasted a cliff apart.
Yeah,
and you're really on the edge of
lots of cliff edges, lots of horseshoe corners, horseshoe bends. A lot of undulation. Wow, that looks fabulous.
A lot of exposure. Holy shit.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, I haven't done it, but based on these pictures, it looks excellent.
They were like, we have $1 million. We have $1 million.
That fucking corner is real shady.
Yes.
You could drop a wheel. That corner you've got pulled up is so shady.
Yeah. The guardrails would have cost $1.1 million, and they were like, sorry.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
And that picture, isn't that picture right there? Highway to Hell, just to the left of it, the same corner. If you go up one, is that the same corner there?
Yes.
It's the same corner.
That is very funny.
Yeah, it's like a different time of day. It's like not as dramatically lit, and it just says Highway to Hell on it.
Jeez.
One road can simultaneously be called $1 Million Highway and Highway to Hell.
I mean, this is a 2-lane road that's just as twisty as any of the canyons we film on, and it has no guardrails. And the side that's exposed, it's literally 2 feet from the edge of the white paint.
Sketch.
It's vertical.
It makes Pikes Peak look like a modern Formula One circuit.
Yeah, it kind of does. Pikes Peak's a little wider, and
has some guardrails in some places.
It has guardrails in the risky. I want to say riskiest, but some of it, on the tightest turns where there's the most exposure, it's a 1,000-foot cliff. Like that's where they have guardrails on Pikes Peak.
I don't want to judge this whole road by this quarter-mile stretch that we're looking at, but that quarter-mile stretch looks shady.
I mean, this is not a place to learn to drift.
Yeah.
If you're the kid who bought the E30, this is not a place to learn to performance drive.
It is very beautiful, though. I guess, yeah. Well, we'll keep that one in mind.
Wow.
That looks fucking great.
That's rad.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Good recommendation. Thank you, sir. Joseph Munch. He's got a 1989 Porsche 930 in silver. Should you go with the red taillights or the Euro orange amber lenses? Zach, do you have an opinion here?
Well, my car is supposed to have clear taillights, and I have amber orange on them, and I kind of like them, but my car's blue. Dude, I don't know.
I'm colorblind, and
right.
I almost can't tell the difference. Like if I saw your car and you were like, look what I changed, I'd be like, oh, what did you change? I just can't tell.
My instinct says I think red stands out better from silver, but I've never seen the orange amber one, so I'm gonna have to look it up.
I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like a purist where it's like you have to whatever it came with, keep it stock. I don't really give a shit, but I mean the amber looks nice. That right there, 930. Oh, that's 930 versus 964. I mean, the amber just in a quick glance looks nice. I guess I'm pro amber. Yeah, I wouldn't replace lights that don't need replacing. But if they need replacing, fuck it. Amber looks cool. When my Countach goes back in for service, I've got those yellow, the Corello fog lights that are going to go in.
Oh, nice.
Right now, I have clear fog lights, but they're actually not the correct ones. They're Hellas. And the correct one is a Corello. And Vinny got me a new inbox, an NOS set of the correct Corellos, but they're from the French market, so they're yellow instead of clear.
Oh, okay.
Like U.S. market would have
right.
But like, I actually think they look awesome. Like, so I'm gonna switch my fucking fog lights from U.S. spec to French spec because Vinny thought it looked good.
Yeah,
and I agree with him. So
if you think it looked good, do it.
Excuse me. Trent says. Oh, what a weird fucking question. I'm looking for a Pontiac sports car. Should I get a 2006 manual GTO or a G8 GXP with a manual? Much appreciated.
Oh, G8. I think G8.
What a weird, there's Pontiac enthusiast?
Dude, G8 GXPs are still expensive.
I know, but that's because they fill a niche that is almost no other car fills. Which is a medium-large sedan with a front-engine, rear-drive manual transmission. Very difficult to find that.
It's like a cheap AMG or M5.
Yeah. And they drive beautifully. Mm-hmm. It's not. I mean, it's not. And they are. The Australian cars were the best-made GM cars of that period. You know what I mean? So I understand why I would just go with the G8 GXP because it's a newer, nicer, better car, and the styling is closer to contemporary, and the GTO is very much like leftover late 90s, early 2000s bulbous kind of styling.
Totally.
That's my opinion. But I just think it's funny that there's like enthusiasts of this period of Pontiac, and they somehow need our help deciding which one of these Pontiacs to buy. Like, honestly, if you need a back seat, get the fucking 4-door.
I think the
Two-door
Ford
cars
looks
suck
better.
balls if you need a back
I think the
seat.
GTO looked weird. It was one of those coupes where it looks oddly long and the door looks really long.
Yeah.
But it looked too like squat. It just didn't have a lot of styling. The interior was good looking. The exterior did not. It was just very meh.
I agree, and I think I have certainly not a unique perspective by any means, but unique for the two of us in this room, because I went to Australia for sailing camp before this car was sold in the U.S. as the GTO, and I saw it as the fucking Holden Commodore and the Holden Monaro, and so when it came here, it was just like, wah wah, because I had seen it years before in Australia as this. It had a different grill on it. It was the same fucking car. Like, you weren't fooling me. You know what I mean? So I was just like, I didn't give a half a fuck.
They're heavy too. I mean, the GH's heavy, but at least then you're getting a 4-door car.
I've driven a couple of GTOs, and if they're set up right, they drive pretty well. And of that period, they're pretty well made. But I'm surprised there are a Pontiac enthusiasts left. That's all. That aren't buying like old GTOs, you know? Fox Life says, is LA worth moving to for the car scene, roads, and tracks? Or is there a different area in the country I should look into relocating and keep those things? Wow, so you want to move somewhere for the car scene. I mean, I would say your options are pretty well established for you. LA is one. Texas. Probably Austin, but the Austin-Houston corridor is a pretty good car scene.
Doesn't have the roads, though.
They don't have the roads. They do not. But they do have tracks, and they do have their own brand of fucking crazy-ass highway racing at night, if you're into that kind of thing. And they do have culture. That is for sure. I've seen a lot of car culture in Texas, absolutely.
Pacific Northwest has good roads.
Seattle is better than you think, although you got a short season.
Yep.
Northern California is expensive, but it's also, Sonoma, Laguna, Thunder Hill. I mean, 3 of the best tracks in America.
And there's a lot of car events.
You get a year-round season there. There's a lot of events. Pebble Beach the idea that you could go to the Pebble Beach events every year and not have to pay for a fucking hotel at those exorbitant prices, that's excellent. Mike Musto drives home every night.
Yeah, true.
From his shit. Miami, they don't have the roads. They got a couple tracks, but they don't have the roads, and they have the culture.
What about like the Carolinas? It's over there.
NASCAR country, Mooresville, if you want that kind of culture, certainly. Other places have car culture, but if you're talking about moving somewhere for the car culture, those are really...
It's hard to beat LA for the mix of the variety of cars you'll see on a week or a weekend, the caliber of cars, plus the access to tracks and good roads. Like, it's really, really hard to beat LA, but it's expensive to live here.
I was just doing this the other day, last Sunday, I went to Bill's for COVID and coffee with Hannah, and we left early. We went home, and we went for a bike ride. Also, on the bike path, back up PCH. And so we leave early. So as we're riding on the bike path back up PCH, other people are coming to just park yourself in one of those beach parking lots on a late Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon. Just sit there and just watch what fucking drives by. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like you're in Forza Horizon or something. I sat there for I made my poor wife. I just made her sit there with me. I go, because there were so many cars coming by. I said, Hannah, let me just sit here for a second because this is ridiculous. And it was like Special, Lambo, McLaren, Porsche, Veyron, something old, muscle car, classic. One after the other, after the other, after the other. You've never seen anything like it. And maybe it's more popular now because other options are limited, and driving our old cars is something we can do. But like, I've never seen the Malibu PCH corridor, you know, as stocked with fucking sports and classic cars ever as I've seen in the last month.
Yeah, I agree.
The density of the sports cars on PCH on a Sunday is like, holy shit, everybody's out. Everybody.
And if you go to the Country Mart, it's like this rotating cast of just a spot opens up, a new thing pulls in, a group of Porsches pulls in, they leave, a group of Challengers pulls in, they leave. Like, it's just amazing what you see. So I don't think you can beat it here. But I think if you don't need that big a scene and you're into like more into the tracks and stuff and roads, you can find that in a lot of other places that are less expensive.
Yeah, Colorado, Denver.
Yep.
Denver has good tracks and great roads.
Tracks, good roads.
Where did you say?
Anywhere with mountains. Oregon, yeah.
Somewhere with hills.
Somewhere with hills.
Somewhere with hills.
Yeah.
And preferably that isn't snowed out for half the year.
Yeah. The South, Georgia. There's like AMP.
Georgia.
Atlanta Motorsport. And
Georgia.
Road Atlanta.
Yeah, the north of Atlanta, there's some decent roads for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't move to Atlanta for the car culture, though. It's not.
It's not as big.
It's just not as dense.
Yeah.
You know, Atlanta's very suburban. It's not like there's like a concentrated scene like there is here. Anyway, I hope those are some good suggestions. Chappie says, do we know any big collectors who actually care about limited run McLarens? They all seem so similar, and even if I had the money, I wouldn't really care. I mean, if you define limited run as the Senna, the P1 GTR, I'm sure there are some heavy hitter collectors that care about that kind of stuff. If you're talking about some, we painted it a special color.
Have you seen how many of those they've made?
There's a lot.
From MSO?
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, MSO just means it's like Porsche exclusive.
Right.
You know, someone said, I make mine this way, and then they do. I think, I don't know if there's any serious collectors that care about McLaren special editions, although I do know serious collectors that own McLarens. Yeah.
I think it depends on.
I mean, to the most serious collector, a McLaren F1 is the game over.
Of course.
So that's where it ends pretty much for every car collector of modern cars. If you've got an F1, you win.
I'm curious what's going to happen with cars like this. Like there's a McLaren Sabre.
Oh man, how dumb would you feel if you bought a Senna and then they come out with this? It's like, oh wait, it's like the same thing but like little less ugly.
Yeah, and then there's also this one, which came out first. This was ordered by
the Senna
East Coast
LM
place.
Something.
Yeah, and it was a dealership ordered like 25, and so I'm curious in the future what'll happen with these. We'll see.
It's what's weird is what I would like to know is the group of people that are buying these cars growing, or is it just the same couple of hundred people hoovering up everything? And I wish it was the former, but I really think it's the latter.
If it's the latter, then I almost want to give props to the dealerships that are like creating these special editions, and they're like, Ted, we got another one. And Ted's like, oh baby, and they just sell them another thing that they've created.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's at any given moment a lot of McLarens on the secondhand market. A lot.
You know what I think has changed about this decade versus like F1, the F1 LM back in the day, like that was, they made X number and they were race cars or it was celebrating the race. And now it's a special edition that's just like, there's just more special editions based on whatever they've kind of created. Like this is to give a nod to this
They're
moment.
Celebrating my Christmas bonus.
They're celebrating, exactly. They're celebrating a lot more things.
Yeah.
It just seems like they hand them out a little bit quicker.
Well, they're working their way towards more mass production.
Yeah.
And so that means, for better and for worse. Now, the financial state of the company always seems to be kind of who the fuck knows, and MSO is a great profit center.
Very true.
Because these people who want shit custom are willing to pay real markups for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you're in a league where everyone has a 720 and can buy 10 of them, you're like, well, how do I get the same feeling of this car I love, but it looks different than what my friends have?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's an interesting question, though. LKSLEJ.
Ixlers.
Whatever.
Sure.
I turned down an allocation for a Morgan P101. Did I make a mistake? I've already have a three-wheeler and trade plus some cash. Super dry edition. The P101, I didn't read the story. I just browsed the headline. What did they announce? A final run of Morgan three-wheelers. They're phasing it out of production, and I'm gonna have to get caught up in real time. The wheels look cool as fuck.
Wow.
Limited edition three-wheeler to celebrate end of models production. What is different about it is I can't really tell. Keep going down. It's 33 units. So it's got different wheels. It's got a livery. It's got 33 units. Let's see. Range of unique components and bespoke detailing. Can I scroll down, Zach, please? Tonneau cover, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. So it's got like a speedster kind of tonneau cover. That's pretty cool. It's got some fog lights on it. I mean, did I make a mistake by not getting one? Here's the thing. A Morgan three-wheeler is already the most unique vehicle that anyone who sees you driving around is going to see that day.
Yeah.
Do you need to spend that much more for the super special edition of that three-wheeler on the off chance you run into another three-wheeler owner and need to one-up them?
Yeah, they say they sold 2,200. This is also amazing look at Morgan. It's the most popular vehicle they've ever had, and they sold 2,200. That's how small their manufacturing is. But 2,200 in the world, and it's a vehicle that people do not take out very often. So like you said, the chance of you bumping into somebody rocking theirs too.
I would say that if you already own a three-wheeler and you're happy with it, unless you are just the most hardcore Morgan guy or girl out there, you know what I mean? Like, there are some hardcore ass Morgan people. And I know one of my clients here at WCCS has two Morgans. One of them has three wheels and one of them has four wheels. And so, and I understand both of his choices. They make absolute sense to me as a car enthusiast in general. This dude is a car enthusiast. Uh-oh, Zach. What? Is my output feed frozen there? Oh, my output took a hop. Anyway, if you already own a three-wheeler and are happy with it, my guess is you'd be throwing a lot of money down a hole to get yourself out of that three-wheeler and into another three-wheeler.
Yeah. And
if you are unhappy or bored with your current three-wheeler, I bet Morgan would happily sell you some kind of mods or something to change it up enough to make it interesting to you again. That's my advice. Don't trade out for another three-wheeler. But this P101 thing does look cool.
Yeah. And
this dude already has a special edition. He's got a super dry edition, which is already the special edition from a couple of years ago. Kevin Bolash says, what will be the best four-cylinder used car value in 3 years? F-Type four-cylinder, 718 Cayman, Mercedes A45, or the Supra four-cylinder? I think the 718 Caymans.
I agree.
Because I think the enthusiasts won't really want them that much on the secondhand market, and you'll be able to get what is ultimately a really fast and nice driving car. When the enthusiasts don't embrace something and you're okay with it, that's a great opportunity.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean? Like, not everybody likes the four cylinders. I personally, obviously, you maybe heard me say this in videos, prefer the 6-cylinder cars, but the S's, the 718S and GTS, they make a crazy amount of power. They're really, really fast.
And dynamically, the chassis is extremely
amazing.
Good, just as good as a 6-cylinder one. Like we have.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me that it's 4-cylinder. Like it's fine. Like it's a pretty neat engine. It's really technically advanced engines. Very cool. Fucking car goes like hell.
It's real fast.
Yeah.
It's
BBI's got a 500 horsepower package for the S.
Holy crap.
So, all right.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be the best value for sure. Michael Katirigi, fuck that up. I'm considering a Honda 2000. Do you think the JDM market will continue to trend upwards, or will it correct itself once the world goes back to normal? I don't consider an S2000 JDM. When I personally, and I'm not trying to be pedantic, I think there's the JDM market of Americans importing vehicles that were not sold here, and there's also just Japanese classic collectible cars. I think Japanese collectible cars will continue to trend upwards. They're reliable, they're usable. a lot of folks in their 30s and 40s have fond memories of Hondas and stuff like that from high school. People are starting to pay real money for Civic SIs from 2000, which I understand to a point because they are kind of nice. So I do think it will continue to trend slowly upwards. I have multiple clients at WCCS that are collecting 90s and 2000s Japanese vehicles, both JDM and USDM, and I see an opportunity there to invest in a car that will be relatively inexpensive to run and relatively reliable, and that is a relatively safe place to park money.
I mean, the cars don't really start to get cheaper, like collector cars, until the audience that loves them get quite old.
Yeah.
Like quite old. And our generation is really just coming into having disposable income to kind of buy what we'll call collector cars and show what we're interested in.
Yeah.
And we're not going to stop doing that until we're like in our
Clean
70s.
S2000s will always have value.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. Gerald Cutler says, does Seiko make the best mechanical watches in the $200 price range? And are there other companies that offer the same quality at that price range? So, in my opinion, yes, Seiko makes the best mechanical watches in that price range. And but there's also Seiko's like cousin company, Orient, which makes similar quality and equally functional watches in the same price point as well. And there's a lot of smaller brands that use entry-level automatic and manual wind movements and sell in that price point. I like Seiko because they're vertically integrated. They make all the parts in the watch. They don't just use a movement from here and get a case from here and make their own dials and hands and go, hey, we made a watch. Like it's all Seiko. So I really like that. That appeals to me. $200. It's not mechanical, but G-Shock. I mean, G-Shock is like the best $200 watch you can buy, probably. But for mechanical, I would say yes. Seiko and Orient is really where you're at for that price point.
G-Shock always look like athletic mountainy watches to me versus like a Seiko looks like a dress watch. That's
correct.
Right?
Well, Seiko could be a dive watch. It could be a field watch. It could be a dress watch. There's all kinds of different Seikos for all kinds of different occasions. G-Shock.
Seiko, for any occasion.
G-Shock, you're definitely right. It's a more like athletic type look. The rubberized ones. Now, Seiko or G-Shock also has watches that are made of metal, and so that is a a thing. And those are more fashiony type watches. You know what I mean? How about Frank says, as EVs need more heavy batteries to reach high performance and range targets, will a tiny, lightweight, single-seater hybrid with a tiny drag area be the last way to enjoy the old-school sports car experience? Working on this type of project now.
Is the thing I'm working on a good idea?
Does he understand that he's invented the motorcycle again? Has anyone explained to this person what a motorcycle is? Because it's single-seater, lightweight hybrid with a tiny drag area. That's a motorcycle, bro.
Or the, what was that crazy BAC1?
Oh, the BAC Mono. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think a hybrid specifically is any kind of way to enjoy the old school sports car experience.
Right.
The old school sports car experience is not available with a hybrid powertrain. The best way to enjoy the old school sports car experience, and this is going to shock you, Frank, you should buy an old sports car. I cannot recommend that you will have 100% fun, but I can recommend that you will 100% get an old sports car experience by buying an old sports car.
And I think, in 80 years, maybe you won't be able to get those, but like, we're not going to be in a place in 30 years, I don't think, where you can't get gas and you can't drive the old sports car.
No.
So it might be, I don't know. It might
banning gasoline-powered vehicles outright. I'm not talking about the sale of new vehicles. I'm talking about from the roads would be an absolutely undue burden on many of society's people that rely on inexpensive gasoline cars.
I'm curious why he would go with a hybrid powertrain, because if the car is tiny and has a small drag area and it's a single-seater, then it theoretically should be like a really efficient thing. And it'd be really light.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about the Volkswagen like XL1 or one of those kind of, 100 mile per gallon kind of deals. In which case, like, cool, but don't pitch me that as old school sports car experience.
Yeah, just get like a tiny motor and make the thing weigh 600 kilograms, and that's it. Yeah.
Game over. Yeah. Thanks, Frank.
I think Paul and Pat just donated.
Thank you for donations. Miles Liback says, I'm looking to buy my one watch for life, something used with a case diameter of 41 millimeter or smaller for less than 5 Gs, nothing vintage. Ideas? For me, immediately I go 2 places. The Tudor Black Bay. Oh, the Weiss? Is you wearing Weiss?
I thought I was. But
a Weiss... see, a Weiss, I love Cameron Weiss. And I don't know if that could be a one watch for life because of the water resistance. It's not particularly water resistant. Like, it'll survive a quick swim, but you wouldn't really want to, do serious water with it. So one watch for life has to be, like, nice enough that you can wear it with a suit, but also it's got to work with a bathing suit. It's got to work with a scuba tank. It's got to work when you're in a garage. It's got to work when you're getting messy. You know what I mean? It's got to be durable if you smash it against something. So to me, I would say Tudor Black Bay. The Tudor Black Bay, Tudor is the slightly less expensive alternative to Rolex. It's what you would call the working man's Rolex. The Tudor Black Bay strongly resembles the Rolex Submariners and dive watches. They range in $3,000 to $6,000. Variety of bezels, variety of dial colors, and they're just as durable as the Rolexes. They're just like slightly less fine, as it were. You know what I mean? Just a little bit less, but really well made. Really nice watches. And you can get one and wear it for the rest of your life. Or like Breitling Super Ocean, that's a great one. Omega Seamaster, there's 30 different kinds of Omega Seamasters. What you want is a dive watch that also isn't too bulky. So, some dive watches are like fucking giant, but you said 41 millimeters. So Seamaster, Planet Ocean, Seamaster Aquaterra, or Tudor. What does that say? Oh, sponsor? Braemont hasn't come in yet. Braemont's they gotta come through with the product before I start plugging exclusively Braemont. But I'm sure Braemont has a dive watch too. I'm not familiar with their dive watch lineup. Braemont watches are more pilot's watches and field watches. It's more of like an airplane thing.
True.
But yeah, there we go. Good way to think on your feet there, Klapman. Techno Outlaw says, I'm thinking about buying a Mercedes 300D turbo diesel as a daily. My SL500 is basically the same platform. W124. That's not the that's the old E-Class. The SL is basically the same platform. I don't agree with that at all. But okay. I mean, you're talking about an E-Class from the 90s, slab-sided, relatively durable cars. You put a lot of miles on them. They require specialized maintenance, but they're well made. They're quality items. It's classic. What people think of when they think of a German tank. So I mean, I don't have any points against. I've never driven the diesel one. I drove a 300. I guess it would have been an E300. The gas one? E320 maybe?
Yeah.
Might have been a 320.
The diesel will probably be slow, but it should last a very long time. Yeah.
I had a friend in high school whose parents, he got one from his parents as a hand-me-down, right? Because we were in high school 96 to 2000. This car was probably like a 93 maybe. So it had been like 97, 98, 99 that this kid had the car. And my friend was a fuck-up. He was an addict, and he was a fucking problem. And he was a bad driver. And he was irresponsible as can be. And he couldn't kill it. And if he couldn't kill it, someone who gives a fuck about it really probably won't be able to kill it. Shout out to Sean from high school. Joe Craver says, what is the best horsepower to weight ratio for a canyon carver? I haven't done the math on power to weight, but my favorite canyon cars, street cars, are around 400 horsepower at the tire and around 3,000 to 3,200 pounds. That's a happy place for me in the canyons.
Why do you like it at that weight versus something like 2,500, 28? Do you know?
There aren't a lot of cars that weigh 2,800 pounds where when I really start going fast, I feel confident and planted. You know, when people start really lightweighting cars to us down in the low middle twos, I mean, I guess you could say like the Gunther was really light and that was very fun. But in terms of ideal, you know, usually we're talking about cars that have like interiors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, sure. I mean, ideally, yeah, 2,800 to 3,000 and like around 400 horsepower at the tires. But, you know, up to 3,200 and you're still all right.
Because I drove a stripped out S2000 that was like dynamically an amazing canyon carver.
Yeah.
But the loudest thing I'd sat in, and you have to drive to and from the canyons also.
Yeah.
Like it's not the overall experience of canyons involves going there, sometimes hanging out a bit, cruising around, like and then whipping. So I think having a little bit of sound editing is nice.
Yeah, we were filming Sorted in the East Coast. I can't. I can't say what I was about to say because I'd give up plot points of the show. Sorry, I can't do it. But let's just say somebody returned later and had taken a thing that I said about their car to heart and made a change and made their car quieter. And they lost 0 horsepower, making their car a bearable fucking volume. Still sounded fantastic. It was a great car, sounded great. But it went from, I hate this, kill me now, I can't hear anything, to, okay, all right. And still every bit of super boogie that the car could do. Yeah, it was excellent. I hope that doesn't give away too much plot. Did I answer? Oh, he answered his first question. Chi-Town Bulls 5. Should I get a C4 or a C5 Corvette as my first Corvette?
5.
Rule with Corvettes. You either get a 1963 to 1968 or you buy the newest, fastest one you can afford.
Yep.
That's it. That's 100% it.
A C5 will, at the worst, it'll sound fast, but feel and be slow. Because when I valeted him, I was like, oh, cool. And then you get in, you're like, what's happening with his interior?
No.
Like, it feels old. I don't know. I know they can be quick and the chassis are fine, but why not get a C5?
There's a lot of value in C4 ZR1s. They're underappreciated by a lot of the youth, and the old people that are dying and selling them, you know, aren't getting the money they want to get for them. And you can get a ZR1, which is a properly awesome performance machine for not a whole lot of money. If you can get into a second-gen ZR1, which would be 94, 95, do it. Otherwise, a base C5 from 97 and up is a superior machine to all C4s. That would be my opinion. Yeah. The newest, fastest Corvette that you can afford is always the answer, unless you're talking about Chrome era Corvettes. JJ Moore says, how would I compare the stiffness of the E46 M3 to that of modern sports cars such as the M2 CS? Do the older cars with non-adaptive suspension tend to be stiffer than new cars? Well, Zach, you have a lot of E46 M3 experience.
Man, they're way softer. Like anything older, it tends to be way softer, both in terms of how much they lean, how they ride. I think cars were just made softer. That's what people wanted to a point. That's also what the technology allowed. We didn't have adaptive suspension where you could say, at the touch of a button, you can go from soft and pliable to firm and track ready. You didn't have that. So if you wanted to sell a car to a larger audience, it had to be relatively comfortable and stay pretty quiet. The new CS is way stiffer than my car. I mean, it has a solid mounted rear subframe and rear bushings. And you know, all of the pliability is in the suspension, whereas E46, you probably know, has lots of bushings in the back, and that soaks up a lot of imperfections in the road and a lot of lean. So anything
when I drove Zuckerman's E39 M5. One of the things I liked so much about it was progressive body roll. I was like, holy shit, we've been talking about how flatter cornering is always better, but I missed the body roll because the body roll is how you really feel the weight transfer working for or against you, and you adjust in the middle. That's why the E39 M5 is such a great driver's car. It's not just because of the 400 horsepower V8 and the manual transmission, which you can get in a lot of other places. It's because there's a balance and a fine tunability. Same reason when Jason Camisa was up in here. I don't even remember if we had this conversation on the show or after it, but because, you know, when Camisa and I record, the show goes on for an hour after the fucking show. You know, he thinks his 190 Cosworth is the best car he's ever driven. And I went, well, you know, I've driven one of those. They're good, but not all of that. And he basically showed me a video of him driving it on Laguna. And by just doing he was able to fucking do the most beautifully controlled body roll initiated slide. And it was like just the easiest, like exactly the amount of steering in, you know what I mean? And he was like, I could do that every single time, like all day. It's like a joke. And he's like, you just can't do that in a modern car because like the turbos spool up, and you know what I mean. And it's like the whole this whole thing. And he's like, you can and with you have to do it on the throttle in these new cars because you sometimes can't transfer the weight as well. Whereas you know, so
if you're way more aggressive with the brake, right. The body roll talks to you about how fast you're going, how much room do you have left before you're leaning on the tire, and then how much tire do you have left before you're sliding.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's good. 89 Ford F350 says, tell us more about your sailboat racing in Long Island Sound. When I grew up in Purchase, New York, and then my parents moved to Greenwich, which is like Purchase is on the Jew side of the border, and Greenwich is the WASP side of the border, the Connecticut-New York border. The Jews all live in Purchase, and the WASPs live in Greenwich. And but yeah, I always liked sailing, and so when I started going to camp when I was a kid, I sailed Sunfish and Zumas, and then Zuma 2s, and then when I had my bar mitzvah, the second time this show talking about my bar mitzvah with this bracelet. My bar mitzvah gift was a laser. A laser is a single-handed racing dinghy. There's an Olympic class for it. There's a lot of college level. It's like it's basically, honestly, it's like the Spec Miata of sailboats. Google laser sailboat.
Oh, okay. I looked at the wrong thing.
You got sharks.
Yeah.
What the fuck were you looking at?
Shark lasers.
Oh, sharks with lasers. Gotcha. Laser sailboats. And so my parents got me a laser sailboat, which I then started sailing competitively out of Riverside Yacht Club in Connecticut. These boats are so awesome. They're basically like Sunfish that go really fast. They probably can go 15 to 18 knots, like under a heavy wind.
What is that in miles per hour?
20.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty fast for a little fucking dinghy. They mob.
Yeah. And they must weigh like 12 pounds.
They don't weigh anything. Yeah, they weigh nothing. I think the whole hull, the entire hull is maybe 100 pounds. And then the mast and sail weigh a little more. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, sailboats, right. So then I moved up to Flying Scots. Then I moved up to J24s, which is a 24-foot team boat. And then I went to sailing camp in the Caribbean and started sailing bigger boats. I never really went back to
the Miatas.
Yeah.
The Miata of the water.
Pretty much, yeah. And so and now I get to use that skill to charter boats on vacation. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
So, box of wine. I'm having a kid. I need a car bigger than a current Golf R. Oh, Jesus. Max 60-inch height. I mean, Jesus. That's general. That's a little too general.
Lift.
Get a
well, I guess
MX CX-5 Turbo.
Yeah, that's a great car.
Get a Macan.
Or
a bigger Golf R is a Macan.
Do you need more headroom? Do you need more cargo room? Like, because you have a 4-door hatch right now. How much money do you have? many questions.
That's
Other
a
cars,
lot of
TR8.
follow-up.
Triumph
follow-up.
TR8 is a terrible car for a child
I would say
seat, but
Macan. I would say the Macan is the bigger Golf R. That's where I would look. If you can't afford a Macan, drop to a Q5 or SQ5. Lucas Parkins says, I'm interested in getting a Fiesta ST as a daily, but budget is a bit tight. What is more important, low mileage or recent model year? They updated something in the Fiesta halfway through the production line run, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. My instinct says lower mileage is better than year. But I straight up don't remember what they changed in 2016. I'm sorry.
Either. Definitely Google that. Check the forums.
And so, yeah.
And I'd say the age of the person you're buying it from, because those cars probably got driven. The younger the person is that owned that car, the more they probably fucked it up.
Yeah. Diesel PB says, your opinion on the 2012 to 2015 Chrysler 300 SRT8. I liked that car.
I love those cars.
That was a great car.
Yeah.
I got and reviewed one as a press car, and I was writing for somebody that doesn't exist anymore, and I don't remember who it was. I wonder if I even have the review still.
I remember driving one at Fontana at like a media day in 2013, like real early, and I got out. I was like, "Why is this so good?"
It was great.
It looked great.
It's a really nice car. Yeah. I thought it was very weird that they discontinued that. It seemed like an easy profit center, but they did. That was strange. But it was a very nice car at the time.
Yeah.
How they've held up, I don't know, but at the time it was very nice. Blue Ridge. In the R34 GTR vid from New Zealand, I said that my life goal is to own one by the time they're legal. It's been 5 years since that video. Where does a perfect 700 horsepower GTR fall in the list of mythical beasts now? Well, I owned an R32 GTR, so I did buy one after this, and the R34 is still not legal in America, so I can't really get one in any kind of above board way at the moment. My perfect GTR really isn't 700 horsepower. It's maybe 450 or so at the tires and very reliable with working air conditioning. So I had a GTR. I liked it. I flipped it. I wouldn't say I flipped it. I accepted an offer that was at the time over market and now kind of on market, sold it, and maybe one day I will have another one. Maybe. Right now I've got a lot of cars, less time to drive them than cars. So I'm going to try and enjoy the cars I've got, and one day I'll get another GTR. But I've seen some YouTubers like fucking Freddie, bless his heart. What has he got, like 18 cars now?
So many. So many.
Like, what's he doing down there?
And a lot of them he like forgets about.
He can't help himself.
Yeah. What am I gonna do with this Bentley? I forgot it.
He's fucking forgetting he's got cars. They're all over the place. Like it's like way out of hand. So since my videos aren't really about my own cars for the most part, I don't have to keep buying shit. I can buy the cars I want to drive right now and make videos about other cars. But that pretty sure that Skyline video is in our top 5 most viewed videos of all time. Jeff Weiner says, the current generation Rolex Air King, is it a future classic? Will it appreciate in value like Submariners? I have to say probably not. I like the Air King. It is a nice watch. It fits a lot of people's wrists really well. Not mine, too small. But they don't really sell for over market now. Rolexes fall into two different real camps. You know, vintage stuff that is rare and sort of collectible because it's old, and then and it was used as tool watches, and so there aren't a lot left. And then you've got the modern stuff that's intentionally scarce and therefore priced over market. The Air King really isn't that watch, so I think they remain kind of hovering around sticker price. And I think if you go on Crown and Caliber, I think maybe they're they're around sticker. I don't see the Explorer, non-Explorer 2, and the Air King. I don't really see as being appreciating the same way the dive watches do. And the last question, Zach, you had was also a watch question. Oh, there's two more. The Sean Official says, I'm looking into a Seiko 5 automatic. Oh, same. Sean, just get your Seiko. Can I recommend anything better at that price than a Seiko dive watch? I cannot. Get that. Aperture 3D printing. I have an FRS daily driver. Is spending $5,000 for a pump gas, 280 horsepower, carb compliant, supercharged setup, tuning out of class. Should I save for a 718 instead? Now, I've driven a BRZ, and it's one of the 86s, with that Rotrex supercharger on it that was about 280 at the wheel, and it was very, very nice. So you're almost tuning out of class. You're getting pretty close to tuning out of class. But I would say it's not quite tuning out of class. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I've never heard that term before.
You never heard
actually.
me say that?
No.
Sometimes I talk about tuning out of class. It's like if you could just get a lot better car with the same money that you're putting into this car.
You can't, I mean, depending on what you bought your FRS for, I mean, if you buy an FRS for 15 grand, let's say, like used market, and you put a supercharger on it for 5 grand, what are you getting for 20? You get it.
And also,
maybe
like,
get a Z06 C5.
Yeah,
but
like,
otherwise,
well, do you own the car outright?
Yeah.
You know, are you making payments on it? Is there a warranty? You know, are you buying the car just for this, or do you already have it and it's, well, maybe I'll sell it or maybe I'll mod it? I would say if you've already got the car and you like it, $5K for that increase in performance. It's a lot of money, but it's a big increase in performance.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be that or get rid of the car, a BRZ or an 86 plus 5K on trade isn't going to get you some amazing other car. You know, saving for a 718, you're now talking about quite a lot more money. And I don't know that now we're in now it's a finance question, not really a car question.
I mean, the best, a 718, not GTS, maybe just S. What is that, 40 grand? In the 40s?
I have no idea. I haven't looked.
It's like double what it's
more. It's a lot more.
Yeah.
For sure, it's a lot more.
You could get a good Corvette for the same money as an FRS with a supercharger and all that stuff. But if you are, like you said, if you already have the FRS, which I like a lot, I'm a fan of that car, and it'd be a cool experience to have for like a year or two. And I think
in a lot of ways, an FRS with a supercharger on it, if it's assuming it's that Rotrex, is in a lot of ways more fun than a base Corvette. I mean, a base Corvette does a lot of things well, but it's not everything. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like an inspiring drive. Whereas actually playful is the right word.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wouldn't be like really. Man, it's hard. It is a lot of money.
But the ROI, like, the power you get.
It's a lot.
So going back to Camisa, did you see his post like 6 months ago? He bought cams
for his BMW,
E30, right?
Yeah, and he got nothing.
Put him in. He got 0 cam horsepower.
That's hilarious.
Those cams for BMWs, I think are like $2 grand. You know, the cams for my car are like $2,000+.
That's so funny. When do you think the last time was that someone like dyno tested those cams after putting them in?
Yeah, I don't know.
A long time, right?
I mean, you're gaining 80 horsepower, a ton of torque.
Yeah,
it's a great sound. I think I really like that whole setup. I think it's an awesome setup.
I think it's a good setup too. And if you already like the car, I'd stick with it.
We had a couple. We had one more slide in. This will be the last question, everybody.
Jason Pera says, my girl wants me to buy a Movado. I know more about toasters than watches. Are those any good? They fall into a portion. Not really. They're fashion. They're what you'd call a mall watch. It's a fashion watch. It's not like horrible, but it's not in terms of like watches, with the mechanical, the things that watch people like about them. Not really. Not really. Andy said, if I had to do a project car today, what would it be? I don't know. Something Japanese, probably. I don't know. So it just seems like Japanese cars are good for doing projects with, I think.
I would love a good 510, but I know that the Datsun 510, that would be a full build of some kind, or like an old Mustang.
I wish Honda made a rear-wheel drive car that I fit in. Like, I can't drive S2000s because they're just not comfortable. Like, my knees and a non-adjustable steering wheel. Like, I wish they made a car that I fit in better because I would really enjoy that. And I really enjoyed racing that little Honda Coupe. I thought it was super fun to drive. Like, yeah, little Honda maybe. But I don't. But it's really nice to not have a project car.
Yeah, because they work.
They work. Yeah, Donnie's returning. Donnie's unfucking my Ferrari right now. I mean, it wasn't like fucked, but like Donnie's returning my car to 100% factory spec, which is where I want that car. Oh wow, Serum says thank you for all the things. Oh, I think Sriram. Yeah, don't worry about mispronouncing your name. Point taken. That's our show for today, guys. That's what I got. My brain is ended, and that means the show is ended. It's the best part about being your own boss and not having to fill a specific radio block. Is this going to air before New Year's?
I don't think so. We have two in the can.
All right. Well, since we've already recorded the ones before this, I hope you've had a good New Year's.
Yeah.
I hope 2021 works out for all of you better than this fucking year. Thanks for your time, everyone. We will see you later. Bye.